Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, and if you're new, it's really nice to meet you and welcome. I'm Jane and my husband Michael is behind the camera. We're British, early retirees, debt and mortgage free, and living a thrifty, frugal and money saving life on a super tight budget here in Brittany in northwest France. And every Wednesday we open our home and invite you into the living room for a midweek money chat. And this week we're going to take a look at the difference between cheap and frugal. Now you Americans, you all know what that word cheap means. But British people, we don't use it like that. Cheap is just something that's low cost. So for British people, we're talking about stinginess or being just for the sake of not spending money, and that kind of just being super tight with your money just for the sake of it. So let's take a look at the difference between cheap or frugal. So if you're a cheap person, you would really, I suppose, only focus on the price. You'd only buy something if it was the cheapest. Doesn't matter whether it was something to eat, something to wear, something for your home, the car, any of those things. It is your sole focus. And don't forget here, we're talking about whether you can afford something better or not, that your sole focus is just to buy something cheap. You haven't thought about whether it's what you want, what you like, what the quantity or quality is like. All you're focusing on, because you're a cheap person, is just the price, and whatever you do, you're only going to buy the cheapest. So if you're a cheap person, yeah, of course, you're going to be looking for the offers. You're going to be looking for the stuff of buy one, get one free, or buy two, get one free. You're going to be looking all the time for the offers that you can take a voucher code in and buy it all. And you don't care if you go in there and you just absolutely clear the shelf, because this is too good for you to leave behind. Well, this is the difference. If you're a cheap person and you're doing that, you're not doing it because you need it. You're not doing it because you want it. You're doing it because this is an offer that is too good to leave behind. I've done this in the past. I put my hands up here and go, yes, I've done that in the past. I've been in and bought, you know, the cheapest baked beans because they were the ones that were the cheapest. And I bought the things that are two for the price of one. And then I've got them home and thought to myself, well, I've got to use this now. And I didn't want it. And I don't really like it. It is the habits of a cheap person, isn't it? But there you go. So if you're a cheap person, you don't care whether you like it or not. If it's free and you see stuff going for free, you're going to go and get it. If you're going through the charity shop and they've got a shelf that says these things are free, you're going to take half a dozen of them, whether you want them, like them or need them or not, because it's free, it's too good to leave behind, it's too good an offer, and you're going to buy it whether you want it, whether you like it or not. Another cheap behaviour is hoarding. It's a lot different from stockpiling. Hoarding is like hoarding money. You're sitting there like Ebenezer Scrooge or Uriah Heep counting your money that you have absolutely no intention of spending ever. You just want more of it all of the time. Hoarding food that's probably going to go off before you ever get to use it, because you've just got it for free or you've got it really cheaply. Hoarding craft materials or clothes that you got from the charity shop, or you got for free or from a yard sale for so little money it was too good to leave behind. And now you have hordes of it and you have tons of it. You still keep accumulating more because it is so cheap that you just keep getting more and more of it. That's a bit of a cheap behaviour, isn't it? This one's definitely a cheap behaviour, isn't it? It's not spending any of the money. And don't forget, it's money that you've got that you're just hoarding. Not spending your money on things that can bring you joy, that you would bring you happiness. When you think to yourself, oh, I'm not ever going to have subscription TV. I might like it. It'd probably make me quite happy. I quite like to watch those films, but I'm not paying for it. You might occasionally want to go out and buy some food that might be a bit more expensive, or a takeaway, or the odd occasional meal, or treaty things for Christmas or for birthdays, or the occasional bottle of wine or something like that, but just out of absolute principle of saving money. I'm not going to buy any of those things. I'm not going to buy any Christmas decorations. I'm never going to buy a turkey at Christmas. I'm not going to buy a box of chocolates, even though you can afford to. I'm not suggesting any of those things that you don't want to. If you want to and you don't, and you deprive yourself, that's what I mean of not doing or buying the things that will bring you joy. If it doesn't bring you joy and you're not buying it, that's not cheap and that's not stingy, not at all. But if you do have the money and it would bring you joy, but you're just depriving yourselves, isn't that cheapness gone a bit too far? It's an opinion. Let's talk about frugal spending now, and being frugal in general. Frugal people focus on value and not just the price. So it'll surprise some people sometimes when frugal people buy something that's more expensive. For example, I will not go out and buy the cheapest car I can possibly buy. I will buy the best car with the money that I've got, because I want it to last. I'm focusing on value. I value comfort in a car. I don't want a car that's going to make me feel quite nauseous, and some cars can do that. I remember when we bought our car, I made Mike go round the roundabout a few times. I didn't want it to lean. I wanted it to feel quite stable on the road. We value being warm. We value that. We value comfort. We value always having hot water. We value eating as healthily as we possibly can. So for us, it's not about just buying the cheapest things all the time. It's about it's value. And it's also what is value to us can be the things that make us happy, or the things that can bring us comfort or joy in any way. So it's not just about the price, it's about value. Difference I think between frugal and cheap is where frugal people will spend their money is they will spend money on quality. Now, we've had in the past 2 second-hand wood burners. We had a wood burner in the kitchen, we had one in the living room, and we bought them as cheaply as we could as kind of stopgaps whilst we took a couple of years to save up for really good quality log burners. Because I'm a big believer, if you buy cheap, you buy twice. And if you buy cheap quality items, they don't last very long. So I think, and also I'm going to add this out there, it is the best quality you can afford. That doesn't mean to say the best quality in the world, the best quality that you can afford. I am absolutely sure there are better quality sofas than the ones that I bought. But I bought the best quality sofas that I could afford, and that's the difference. So it's not just about, we didn't go and buy cheap. We did the first time when we were saving up, and they did us for a while, but then we saved up for the best quality we could afford. Frugal people, different from cheap people, find ways to get what they want, the value that they want, the quality that they want, at the price they're prepared to pay by waiting. And this is where you can make a mistake and end up going down the cheap route, is you buy the cheapest thing you buy straight away. And that can often cause problems, can't it? It's not what you wanted, it's not what you liked, it's not really what you need. It might be, like we did with our wood burning stoves, what you needed at the time, but this is the point. It's the point about finding the best quality price and you're prepared to wait. And as frugal people, we don't rush into those purchases. It might mean we have a stopgap and a make do whilst we're finding what we want at the bargain price we're prepared to pay. Another difference between being cheap and being frugal is mindful spending. Now here's an example of mistakes I've made in the past. I've spent a lot of money in the past buying a lot of food to store away, you could say hoard, because it was very cheap. I could easily fall into that trap if I'm not careful again. But as a mindful spender, this is something I share on the channel all the time. We do a regular stock check. We do regular meal plannings. We meal plan every single week. We stock check almost every week. So we are mindfully spending on the things we actually need and actually want. So it comes to things like whether I'm buying fabric for my hobby, which is quilting, whether it's buying plants for the garden. And I can promise you, I could go to flea markets, vide greniers, car boot sales, all of those things all of the time and spending my discretionary spending, and it could feel like a thrifty living, but actually it could be quite impulsive and not as mindful. So something I share with you is I keep a charity shop list. I've got my eye open for things. I'm looking for a push down coffee jug at the moment, a cafetiere. So things like that I keep a list for. So I can go happily to the charity shops or happily to a car boot sale or a yard sale or a vide grenier or any of those things and mindfully spend on the things that I've planned and I've been looking for. Another big difference between being cheap or being frugal is if you're frugal, you're not wasteful. I think if you're cheap, you can think to yourself, well, this cost me nothing, I can throw it away, or this cost me next to nothing, I can just give it away. And I think if you're frugal, you're really mindful of that. So you make sure that you rotate your food stock so you don't waste it. You make sure that you rotate your clothing and you get to wear those t-shirts at the back of the drawer. You make sure that you go through your tools, that you use them, that you keep them in good condition, that you're really focusing on using what you've got and not being wasteful. And we check ourselves on this because we still like to go to vide greniers or yard sales, as you would call them. We still like to go to charity shops, and we still get excited when we see things that we think, oh, that's a bargain, an absolute bargain. And we'll do things like say, oh, look, this is only €5. This is really good. And we check on each other and say, yeah, but we've already got a couple of these. We're not using them, are we? We certainly don't need to get another one. Oh, I've done this so many times where I thought to myself, oh, this is lovely. This is such a bargain. And then I've had to remind myself, I've got a drawer full of frozen vegetables or frozen meat, or I've already got loads of pink or yellow fabric, or I've already got tons of t-shirts or pairs of sandals. And even though it's a bargain, and even though that I could afford it, and even though it would be wasteful, because it's just not necessary. So there's another difference. You can be, if you're just being cheap, you could be a bit wasteful. And it's wasteful, isn't it? To buy things that you don't need, that you're not going to use, but you buy them because they're just cheap, that they're a bargain. It is a bit wasteful. Well, I definitely gave a bit of myself away there today, didn't I? That in the past I will admit to being a bit cheap and a bit wasteful, a bit spend happy, when I think I'm just being thrifty and I'm buying all these things to save money. And actually I've been hoarding things and buying too much and buying things I don't need, which has in turns been wasteful. And that I've changed into that person who's now frugal and far more mindful and plan what I'm going to spend and really think about things now. So I'd love you to share with me, what do you think of the difference between being cheap and being frugal? Because I'm sure there are things that I've not mentioned here today. And as we always say to you, we love your comments and we read every single one of them. Thank you to everyone who hits the like button today. And if you've not hit it, go on, hit the like button too. Thank you to everyone who's a subscriber, old and new. It costs you nothing to be a subscriber. and we'll see you again soon. Thanks again. Bye-bye.